In this GMC tutorial video, I'm going to demonstrate the features of our transform tools, which will allow us to change the scaling, rotate objects, mirror image objects, and size objects. So here, if I create a new object or shape, I'll just use the rectangle as an example. I'll just make it small to start with, make it say 80, tab 120, and then click create. Now, whenever you have an object selected, and you know it's selected by the red highlight on the screen, you have this properties menu here. So if it's unselected, you cannot access the properties menu. But if you select an object or even a group of objects, then you will get this menu and you'll notice the transform tab here. If you click on this, you'll have a number of different options available to you. One of the first options is scaling. So here, if I want to scale this object, I can do it, say, by percentage. So I can make it 80% of its original size, thus 20% smaller. And you'll notice it says X and Y, which means horizontal and vertical. And also I have a little checkbox down here called proportional, which I have checked. And that means that if I adjust one of these boxes, it'll automatically dynamically adjust the others proportionately. So if I wanted to independently control the width and the height, I would have to uncheck proportional and then type in here a different value, and thus I'd be able to independently control the height from the width. But I'll change this back and turn that back on. Now, scaling is also similar to sizing here. I can also type in an actual size of the object that I want to. So I could say I want it to be 100 across, and thus it's proportionally made at 100 by 150. If I want to rotate the object, I have an option here where I can rotate up to 2 decimal points of a degree. So here, if I type in, for example, say 30 degrees, it will rotate that rectangle that I've got highlighted 30 degrees anti-clockwise. So what if I wanted to go clockwise? Well, then you can type in a negative number, so we can go minus 30, and it'll rotate clockwise. You've also got a plus and minus button here, so you can fine-tune your adjustment visually and dynamically on the screen and see what changes you're making at the same time. So how would this apply to a group of objects? If I delete this, and I'll create a couple of little shapes so we can see. There's one rectangle, and I'm going to put that over here, and then I'll use copy and paste to create another rectangle. So if I lasso and select both of them, you can see they're both selected. I'll go to my transform tools. Once again, you can see I can scale them, so I can go 120, and so they remain related to each other, and you retain the integrity of the spacing between the objects. I'll change that back to 100. You can also change the size, or I can rotate. So if I type in here 20 degrees, it will rotate 20 degrees anti-clockwise. And then if I click on mirror, what that will do is it will mirror it horizontally using the center of the outside dimensions of the mat as your center line. So in other words, it's mirrored it based on the symmetry created by the overall dimensions of the mat, which is your width and height up here. Okay, I can also mirror it vertically as well. So it's like a toggle switch, you can turn it on and off. So that's how you can use mirror. Mirror is very handy when you want to, for example, create a multiple opening layout, and there's elements of symmetry in the multi-opening where you could then, say, create the left-hand side only, then copy everything on the left, then mirror that over and paste it again. So you could literally halve the amount of time you can spend creating a multi-opening just by using the mirror tool. Let me show you a little bit more about how the sizing can work for, say, different shapes as well. So if I delete this, and then I'll go to my clip art. Let's say I choose the rubber duck design. So here, what's awkward about some of the clip arts is you want to be able to size them to a specific dimension. And if you double click them, it only gives you the draw mode options, and that really doesn't help you in being able to create the exact size. So if you go back to template mode and then select your shape, you should get the transform menu available through the properties tab. And here you can see its actual size in its horizontal and vertical. So now I can actually say, well, I want that rubber duck to be 120 across. So I can type in 120. And let's say I want it to be 130 high. I could untick proportional and I could type in here 130, and so I can extend its proportional height as well. Also then, of course, I can rotate it and I can mirror it. Also, just one more little trick you may also find useful for changing the sizes of clip arts is the control left click feature for the dynamic shape sizing. So if I put my finger on the control button and then move to any one of these points with the mouse, if I left click, hold the left click down and move, click and drag, you will see I can also dynamically change the size of a shape as well. And that also gives you the new shape sizes here in the size horizontal and vertical transform menu option display as well. So there's an overview of the transform tools available in GMC software.